Hello, everybody. This is Gary Matheny. Welcome to the 5th episode of the Liberty Observatory, where we are observing liberty in its many and various forms and fluctuations in our current era. Remember that the introductory program laid a premise for two types of liberty or freedom. Freedom on the inside and freedom on the outside. So I did an introductory session, episode 1. Then episodes 2, 3, and 4 dealt with freedom from the inside. And the basic premises that I built upon on freedom from the inside is that the gospel of Jesus Christ is the power of God to change lives. That's how you get free on the inside. So I spent one session on the power of God, one session on the gospel of Jesus Christ, and one session on changed lives. But here today, we're going to switch gears. We are going to start freedom on the outside. Because we not only want to be free on the inside, but we also want to be free on the outside. We want to be able to lead our own lives and do what our conscience dictates and serve God, or frankly, not serve God according to the dictates of our conscience. So freedom and liberty are huge issues that are so little understood in the modern era. And my attempt here is to bring to light some of the reflections upon freedom and liberty, and hopefully an application, a practical application for you to be able to see the blessedness of freedom and liberty, the optimistic manner in which you can frame your life in the context of freedom and liberty. And so here on episode 5, we're going to start off with our greatest opportunity for happiness is liberty. Our greatest opportunity for happiness is liberty. And this quote is attributed to Sam Adams, the older cousin of President John Adams, Sam Adams of the Boston Tea Party fame. Supposedly, he wrote that quote contained in a letter to his daughter or daughters. I have tried to find a direct quote via the internet, but I can't find it. And so it may be out there somewhere. But basically, that's why I say it was attributed to Sam Adams. He gets credit for it. Whether he actually said that in a letter to his daughters, I don't know. But it capsulizes how I feel about liberty on the outside. What I've tried to do is reduce certain principles to capsules, to manageable understandings, to summarize not only my own perspective and my own internal workings, but to help you work with the principles of freedom and liberty in your own life. And so what I boiled down my spiritual life to was the gospel of Jesus Christ is the power of God to change lives. That hits home with me. You may have something that hits home a little bit different for you as it relates to the gospel of Jesus Christ, and that's fine. Secondarily, as to freedom on the outside, and this comes primarily from just reading American history. I think I've read 4 biographies of George Washington, if I'm following it right in my mind. And so I've read quite a bit about American history, particularly as it relates to the founders' philosophy, and how they thought. And so basically I boiled down their thoughts and my thoughts into this one phrase: our greatest opportunity for happiness is liberty. When I read that, it hit home. So there may be something a little bit different from you. If you want to try and capsulize your thought process as it relates to liberty, guess what? You're free to do so, because we're talking about liberty. We're not talking about control and domination and who's right and who's wrong and all this other stuff. I would be cheerfully happy if we are close. But even if we're not particularly close, then you're entitled to your opinion, and I'm entitled to my opinion. This is still America. So basically, there are two concepts that I find that are like first cousins of each other if you look at this. And today we're going to talk primarily about opportunity. But if you think about it, the word opportunity and the word liberty are related to each other. They are essentially first cousins to each other. And so what they basically mean is that you are free from coercion or control. If you have opportunity, that means you are free from coercion or control. In other words, you have the freedom, you have the liberty to make choices. If you are unfree from coercion or control, in other words, you are controlled and you are coerced and you are dominated, manipulated, etc., your opportunities shrink. And also, your liberty shrinks. But today we're going to primarily address the issue of opportunity. We will address liberty down the road in a couple episodes. And basically at that time, we'll take a look at the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights and talk about how our founding fathers were trying to assure this concept of liberty in our life, this opportunity to live a free life. And so basically, if I were to summarize liberty and opportunity as they are mixed together as first cousins, I would say that that you're free from coercion and that you have freedom of conscience. In other words, your conscience, your mind, your heart, it tells you what to do and how to do it in life. You, in essence, are living your life according to an internal clock, something that is inside of you, and not strictly to an external clock where you're subject to the moods, the emotions, the manipulations, the control, whatever you want to say about contemporary society. In some respects, I'm trying to steer you away from just being an acculturated person that's quagmired in modern society and can no longer feel like they can live their own lives. They feel all caught up. And to be honest with you, in 1976, when I became a Christian, I felt like I was all boxed in before I became a Christian. I felt I had no alternatives. I had complete inability to change. And then I became a Christian and all things became possible, including this culmination at age 70. Hopefully I'll live a few more years, bringing you this presentation to hopefully introduce you to concepts of opportunity, liberty, and freedom in a meaningful way that you can apply to your life. So let's look at the word opportunity a little bit closer. Basically, according to the Oxford Dictionary, it said opportunity is a set of circumstances that make it possible to do something. Basically, it's the circumstances that allow you to make choices. And that's where we get into this relatedness between opportunity and freedom. Opportunity implies freedom to make choices. And so there needs to be a set of circumstances for you to make those choices. And the best set of circumstances for you to make choices is lying in liberty. It's lying in freedom. If we look at some of the synonyms for the word opportunity, they talk in terms of hope, Opportunity and hope are wedded together in some respects because you want to have opportunities in your life. You want to improve your life. You want to have greater happiness in life. And so hope is bound up in the word opportunity. And also, interestingly enough, space and time. Space and time are synonyms for the word opportunity. And at first blanch, it's like, well, how does that work? See, what you want to do is you want to have greater space and greater time. In other words, opportunity should give you the opportunity to have greater space and greater time. In other words, there's more movement, there's more flexibility, there's more choices to be made, there's more opportunity. And when I read this, it reminded me of Psalm 31:8. And basically, what it says is that the Lord has put your feet in a large place. There is room in God's kingdom. There is room in the land of opportunity. You can make choices. You have the freedom to make choices in this land of opportunity. And so basically, opportunity is the availability to have room in your life, to have time in your life, to make choices that help you. Now, a lot of times you have to make sacrifice within those avenues of getting help and finding happiness. For instance, you may have to pursue a pretty grueling educational course. My daughter is in her, I guess, third year, maybe it's fourth year of nursing school. She's getting a BS, and she's had to work hard, and it's not been easy for her. And her sacrifice is paying off because she's landed a very good job in the Kansas City area, and she's very happy, and she feels like that she is being rewarded for her hard work. And so you have to seize the opportunity. You know, the Carpe Diem, the Marine slogan, seize the day. In other words, you have to be opportunistic in the world of opportunity. In other words, you can't just let life slide by you and not make any choices and then somehow, some way celebrate living in the land of opportunity. You have to take advantage and move forward in those opportunistic times. So the Lord has placed you in a large place, according to Psalm 31, verse 8. And time and space are concepts associated with opportunity. So basically, we want to have the freedom to have opportunity. And so as I look at how I've changed over the years in my perception of our country. So when I was young, and even up until a few years ago, I thought that the United States of America and the U.S. Constitution were steady state positions. In other words, it was like carved in concrete. This is the way it was. It ain't going to change. And our Constitution is today, yesterday, and forever. And yet, what we've seen over the last few years is a slippery slope into forms of government that seem to ignore the Constitution. The Constitution no longer seems to be the bulwark against very aggressive governmental growth in our country. And so I no longer think of freedom as being in a steady state because I no longer think that we are pursuing a constitutional form of government in our country. And so we're no longer in a steady state. If you think about it in terms of history, in 2026, we'll celebrate our 250th birthday as a country from 1976 to 2026, and it'll be a great momentous time in our country. But if you compare the United States of America to other empires or other dynasties that survived or didn't survive over time. It is a relatively young phenomenon, relatively young. Even if you add another 100 years, because you can't really say that this all started like being dropped from heaven in 1776, and that's when we finally figured everything out. No, this was a long, long process of lasting 150, 200 years to get to 1776's long, long debate on the rights of men. It just didn't drop from the sky. It took a while to form, to capsulize, to be advocated, and eventually realized. So let me just mention for a moment the Carthaginian Empire. You know, I knew something about the Roman Empire. I knew something about the Greek Empire. But I started reading about Carthage, the Carthaginian Empire. And I was like, well, you know, I know something about these others, but I don't know about Carthage. Carthage is in North Africa. It was founded by the Phoenicians, who were from the Middle East. They were merchants. That's how they really got wealthy. They were Mediterranean merchants that got strongholds in various Mediterranean ports when the Mediterranean Sea was where it was at in culture, in politics, in economy. I mean, it was right smack there on the Mediterranean. And if you had strong, influential ties in governing and profiting from the Mediterranean trade and everything associated with the Mediterranean, you could build a dynasty. Well, the Carthage had it for about 750 years, and guess what? They were destroyed by the Romans. The upstarts, the Romans, destroyed Carthage. And if you recall, the famous warrior named Hannibal, he was a Carthaginian. He's the one that took the elephants over the Alps and attacked Rome from the north, or Italy from the north, but never was able to finish the deal. He basically wound up having an army in the eastern side of Italy where he lacked support and ran out of supplies and was abandoned and eventually had to depart from Italy. So it didn't really come to very much, but they lost. Carthage was destroyed. But that's a 750-year empire. So we can't think of the United States of America as a steady state. We are in a true flux here as it relates to our country. And so basically, I look at freedom this way. I look at opportunity this way. It's like a window or a door. And it's like one of those doors that closes on its own volition. In other words, you exit a building, you walk out of the building, and the door closes itself behind you. And so what we need to have in America, and frankly all across the world for all freedom lovers, is enough people opening the door and holding the door open so all the people will have the opportunity to find happiness through liberty, through that freedom of conscience. And so not one person can do this. No one person can hold a door open for everyone. There's no superhero like that. It takes a large volume of people who love and appreciate liberty and freedom and want to hold the door open. And when you hold the door open, you are not only holding it open for other freedom-loving people, but you're holding the door open for whoever may enter. Because somewhere, sometime along the line, there are going to be people that basically say, this society that we live in isn't really working right now. What other opportunities are they? Well, liberty and freedom. Let's open that door and let's have millions pour through the door, freedom-loving people that are willing to take responsibility for their lives, that are willing to make choices, and are willing to, as the Marines say, seize the day. Thank you very much for joining me today. I appreciate it. And the next time we will talk about happiness. Bye-bye.